Good morning. Good morning, people. Good morning. So today is Tuesday, September 17th, 2023. It is just about 6 o'clock in the morning here in southwestern Nevada, Nye County, Pahrump, or Pahrumpertucky, you choose. Big day today, big day. Vegas trip day and a trip to the TV station. So that's good. Thanks to Memory, our friend Memory. Thanks to Memory. Trip to the TV station. See what's happening there. Prepare people for a PSA, for the wraparound on Friday. The wraparound thing. Oops. So, yeah, big day. Vegas and then the TV station. All right, but we are not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about how to help our students and other people move forward in this life in preparation for what comes next. How do we do that? I've talked about that for a while in my intro. How do we help people move forward through this life where we have a transcendent soul? There's a can on the floor. Where'd I go? There I am. Okay, so how do we do it? Well, we do it two ways. Through, number one, through this podcast, and number two, through the more important thing is through the worksheet, which is attached down below. The worksheet is the experts. The experts, good morning, Maticus von Atticus, Untersergeant Ordinaire. Glad to see you there. Wada Bevy will not be here today. She's at work right now. Her shift started right now. Well, a couple minutes ago. Anyway, we do it through our worksheet down below. That is the experts, the recognized experts. And number two is just showing up for the podcast, the repetition of the thing, daily striving to build better habits. So who's on the worksheet? We have Dr. Livingood talking about, so we have it broken down into physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So on the physical, we have Dr. Livingood, a health expert, a medical doctor, talking about talking about health, mainly the foods we ingest. David Goggins talking about physical health. Andrew Huberman, mental health in the sense of brain hacks, things to do physically. We have Jack Rowland, Life's Daily Observations, Vitality Pod. On the mental side, we have Arthur Brooks, Harvard professor, talking about happiness, the science of happiness. We have Barbara Oakley talking about learning, how to learn. Today we have Simon Sinek talking about neurotransmitters. We're going to talk about that today. That's what our theme is. Neurotransmitters? What's that? Daily Stoic, Seth Godin's blog. Then on the emotional side, we have Darren Hardy, Jordan Peterson, and Mark Devine, Navy SEAL Lieutenant Commander Mark Devine. On the spiritual, we have Baraka Church down in the Houston area. Our friends Dave, Randy, and Thornton. Shroud of Jesus and prayer. So those are the experts. So we have the experts helping us along the way. What else? Okay, so the worksheet. So the worksheet is the recognized experts. If you read the worksheet every day, you will improve or pick a topic. Either way, you choose. But the podcast, the practical effect of the podcast is repetition, 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 building better habits. One step forward each day, little slight improvement, just another little brush stroke, little chisel thing every day. And at the end, you have a masterpiece. It's that simple. If you start every day by thinking, do I feel like it? You're going to talk yourself out of it. You will be controlled by your emotions rather than having your emotions control you. Very unstoic way to go through life, to be controlled by your emotions. Let the other guy be controlled by his emotions. We strive to control our emotions. And that doesn't mean you don't have emotions. It means you have the appropriate emotion at any given time. I think, that would be very Stoic. I think the Stoics would agree that if you strive to have the appropriate emotion at any given time, they'd say, yeah, then you got it. Why? Well, because to be able to do that, you have to, a lot of things go into being able to control your emotions, or to have the right emotion at the right time. Atticus von Atticus, how is the Fort Prescott doing? How's Fort Prescott? Things any better down there? The Savages wild? What happened with LDS this weekend? We need to get that down for posterity. It's okay. Okay, Fort Prescott is okay. Great. We're going to talk about neurotransmitters. Yesterday we talked about neurons. We're going to talk about neurotransmitters. But before that, let's talk about advice from an 80-year-old. Wave at children on a school bus. Yeah, it might not be such a good idea these days with all of the snowflakes and Karens out there. Somebody might get the wrong idea. In the olden days, a few years ago, you wave at kids on a school bus, and that gives them hope and encouragement for a better future. There are nice people out there. Today, unfortunately, kids are probably being conditioned to believe if somebody you don't know is acting nice towards you, run, call the cops, use your cell phone, take a picture of them, do whatever. They're dangerous people, because nice people just leave you alone. They don't actually give you encouragement. All right, so let's see. Last night we had our Monday night dinner talking about making disciples of all nations. Plan here, got a call during it from Phil, had a chat with Phil, who's suffering from a kidney infection. But we had a good dinner. The food was good. Penne with chicken, salad, broccoli. Very good, pleasant dinner. And we might have to move them to Honeysuckle because we had one too many people there. But it was a good dinner. Acknowledgement to Mr. Bojangles for preparing the dinner and being a good host, being fitting in the thing of Jesus of being a servant host. So making sure everybody else's needs were taken care of. So good for that. And the quest continues. Let's see, anything else? Okay, so Mr. Bojangles is there. Bigger table. Yeah, well, that won't really fit in the front room. And we probably won't get the light fixed for quite some time. And it's getting darker. So, but it would be better to do that. Otherwise, we're going to have to go to disposable plates. Okay, let's talk about neurotransmitters. Where are we at time? 9:32. Okay, so it's going to be a quick one about neurotransmitters. Now, here is a bridge that is generally too far for our Christian brothers to accept. Neurotransmitters. So the typical Christian brother, at least out here in Pahrump, thinks it's the Holy Spirit. Unfortunately, I think it was a good example that we should use in the future. Last Thursday, Phil was sick. And the idea was to pray upon him and make him, the Holy Spirit would indwell in him, swell the presence in him, whatever, and it would cure him of his thing, and he felt better. And everybody was, yeah, 1 point for the Holy Spirit, man. It's real. It's true. It's true. And then after that, he crashed and burned, kidney infection. So either the Holy Spirit didn't work, or the prayers weren't there, or something else, or perhaps that's not really what the Holy Spirit does. Perhaps he was running on adrenaline. Talk to any soldier about the effects of adrenaline, how it can keep you in the fight. Any athlete. The thing about adrenaline. And then, as Mr. Bojangles is pointing out, there's also the placebo effect, which doesn't just hit Christians, crosses the board. Crosses the board. So, you don't have to be a Christian to have the placebo effect, where your brain does things. So in that case, the placebo effect would have been not the Holy Spirit fixing him, but have a glass of water, or the belief that the Holy Spirit did it to cure you. So Phil crashed and burned. But, the point being, there were neurotransmitters that helped him. So our Christian brothers think it's the Holy Spirit, when just with a little bit more knowledge and understanding, they'd say, well, let's kind of tone that down a little bit and talk about neurotransmitters. What? What's that? Neurotransmitters, hormones, chemicals. Before we had this brain that we have, this really complex brain, when we were like other animals, before the prefrontal cortex, our new brain, we were like other animals. So instead of rationally thinking things through, we would react to things based upon neurotransmitters being released in our system. And it turns out, today's video makes clear, about 90% of the emotions we feel are related to about 5 different chemicals being released in our system. So Simon Sinek breaks it down pretty well to what he calls EDSO. EDSO. Endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. And then he further breaks it down to say, endorphins and dopamine you can create by yourself. You don't need anyone else. Serotonin and oxytocin are social things that other people cause them to be released in you, and you can release them in other people. And for our purposes, if you understand neurotransmitters, then, and you know how to release them, the neurotransmitters will make you feel a certain way. So you can control your emotions. You do control your emotions through the release of neurotransmitters. And most of it is doing. If you do this, you will release this neurotransmitter and you will feel a particular way. So you have a belief, you have a incident, stimulus, that triggers the release of neurotransmitter, which makes you feel a certain way, which affects your behavior affects the outcome, and then the event reinforces the belief, tends to reinforce the belief. So you have a belief that there are vampires, and they want to get in your room and they want to kill you and eat you and turn you into a vampire. So that's a belief. You have a stimulus. The wind is blowing outside and it rubs some leaves up against the side of the house. Okay, there are vampires and there's something scratching at the window, something scratching on the side of the house. That belief, vampire scratching at the side of the house, triggers the release of certain neurotransmitters. So in this case, it would be called like a devil's cocktail, something negative. So probably cortisol plus adrenaline, a lot of energy and fear. Because I have a belief there's vampires and a vampire's trying to get in my room. I can hear it right now trying to get in my room. So bam, immediate, instantaneous fear, jump out of bed, superhuman powers, run down the hallway to my mother's room, jump in bed with my mom and dad or whatever, and that will save me. But if you think about it, that's not really going to stop a vampire. However, it makes us feel better because we have another belief that safety is down there. So when I get to my room, I get a flood of oxytocin, away goes the cortisol, and I now feel safe because I'm loved. Okay, other people don't believe in vampires, so there's a sound scratching up against the house, wakes me up. That's an interesting, curious thing. I go to the window and, or I just quietly listen. I hear the wind howling and I remember there's a tree and therefore it makes it really simple. Tree plus wind, house. Okay, cool. So that's, wow, interesting. I wonder if I should cut that because I don't want to wake up. Anyway, that is neurotransmitters. And our emotions are created by the release of neurotransmitters, period. Now, if we have a belief that it's the Holy Spirit doing it, the problem is we're taking control away from us and what? Giving it to the Holy Spirit. And part of the problem is, I'm pretty sure with Phil, the next time he has something like that's like a kidney infection, he's not going to consider praying it away. Or he might consider praying to go along with seeing a doctor early instead of, I don't need to go to the doctor because the Holy Spirit has already healed me. Something did and I rebuked it. Okay, well, anyway, we're 18 minutes in, a lot of stuff to do today. Got to get on the Peloton and neurotransmitters. So if you're going to watch one TED Talk, one of the TED Talks, the Simon Sinek one, would be a good one to watch because we're ultimately, in our neuroscience course, we're ultimately trying to answer two questions. Who am I and why do I behave the way I do? And we behave the way we do greatly because of neurotransmitters and our neurons and our reticular activating system. Week 2, Inside My Skull-Sized Kingdom. So we're going to call it for a day. Sophie, when you watch this, exceed expectations. Use those neurotransmitters to have oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, and maybe a little bit of endorphins when you're at work. But don't run too hard. Don't exercise too hard when you're at work. But laugh. Cause other people to laugh. Oxytocin, serotonin, and cut. Bonk.